And he says, "My name is Taylor." And Zira, played by Kim Hunter, one of the greatest actresses of all time, and all of a sudden, she looks up at him, and she's like, "You really wouldn't hurt me, Taylor."
I love that scene,
and the fact that she says his name Taylor and not Bright Eyes, which was what she was calling him earlier, it puts a smile on his face. And if you look at Charlton Heston's eyes, it's like he really isn't going to hurt her. No. Because she is the first ape to call him Taylor.
Yes. And then he says that line to Dr. Zaius later where he goes, "Thank you so much for calling me Taylor."
Yes. And, I just really want to quickly go back to that scene with him and Kim Hunter, Charlton Heston and Kim Hunter. Look at the angle that it's shot in.
And, well, she's kind of, the camera's kind of looking down at her and looking up at him.
I know, but it's speaking to what's happening, and it's the fact that the apes are starting to lose control. How the camera's looking down, to making it look like she has less control, and since the camera is a very low angle of Taylor, it means he's starting to take control.
Right.
It's not in your face, but it's starting to happen.
That's a good call. I didn't even think of that. And the thing is that, now I forgot what I was going to say.
You were talking between how Taylor's like, "Thank you for calling me Taylor."
Okay. Yeah. Oh, man. I'm trying to think what I was going to say.
And even that scene, all of Dr. Zaius' lines are at a low angle. All of his shots are at a low angle, and Taylor's are at a higher angle.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. If this was if we were to classify this in the genre of monster movie, Taylor would be the monster.
He truly would. He would.
And the reasoning is because I'm going to define monster movies in a very broad sense for just a sec. Monster movies are when you take a very realistic setting and stick in an unrealistic terror. And what is that to the apes? That's Taylor. Taylor comes in and threatens their very existence in place of power. So therefore, by definition, he's a monster. And at one point, Dr. Zaius even just says it. He goes in that same scene. He goes, "You're a monster," and I just love it when Taylor says when he's leaving, "You're afraid of me, Doctor. Why?" And he never really gives him an answer, but he just kind of shows him in the end when he pretty much threatens his very position of power when he tries to get the doll out of the cave. Which is one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema. If I had to pick a favorite scene, I'd probably end up going with the one where the doll talks. And Taylor's like, "Dr. Zaius, would an ape make a human doll that talks?"
And he's truly terrified.
He's just shitting his pants.
Yeah, and even if you look at that scene where Taylor is confronting Dr. Zaius in that room, and Dr. Zaius says, calls him Taylor for the first time. If you look at that, all of the angles of Dr. Zaius are at a high angle, making it look like Dr. Zaius is powerless, or has less power. And all the shots of Charlton Heston are at low angles.
Yes.
And again, just like that scene with him and Kim Hunter, is saying how Dr. Zaius is losing control. The apes are losing control, and the humans are... or Taylor is taking the control, because he's really destroying everything that the apes believe in.
Right.
And yeah.
One of the most brilliant concepts in the movie is that Dr. Zaius is technically, by movie cinema terms, the antagonist. But he's really not. In that last scene where he says, hold on, what's the kid's name? The younger ape?
Come on, I know this.
So do I. Oh, man, oh, shit. Oh, man, I gotta try and play the lines in my head.
Don't trust anybody over 30.
Yeah.
That kid.
Oh, my God, it's rattling around in my brain, I can't think of it. Anyway, my point is when he says, what about the future? And then Dr. Zaius just kind of turns to the camera and goes, I may just have saved it for you. And that's when he kind of establishes that he's not really the antagonist. He's just trying to save his race. Because he knows that the whole reason that the apes revolted was because they got smart. And he knows that if apes learned that the whole reason humans only... Well, if they learned that humans were more advanced first, and that the scrolls are pretty much a lie...
Their society would crash.
Exactly. And maybe it would give... Not only would it make the apes terrified, but some apes may even say, hell, that was the way it was, let's put the humans back in charge. That's something that chimps might do, some of them anyway. Because there are also those chimps like Galen, who is just kind of like, he likes the social class, it seems. But he just wants to be a higher chimpanzee than he is. Because I love that first scene he has with Kim Hunter, or Zira. And he says, you seem to be doing all right for yourself. What are you going to do about getting me... what are you going to do about getting Dr. Zaius to give me more funding? And she goes, I'm just a scientist and I have no position of power. And she doesn't. And I don't like Galen, because he only has one scene, but he comes off as really a prick and someone who's just like kind of trying to use the system to just get higher power. Like, it's almost like he likes the system, and he just wants to be higher up in it. You know, he doesn't seem to mind as long as he's in power.
Right.
And of course, if you know your Planet of the Apes history, you know they made a TV series. And I don't know if you want to talk about that maybe after we get through the 5 movies, because I kind of wanted to bring something up about it. But
yeah, we could definitely do that once we get through the 5 movies.
Yeah. So I'll save this till later then.
All right. I just want to say something, a little bit of trivia. During the trial scene where you see all of the leaders, or that, like, headmasters, like, suddenly they put their hands over their eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a classic ape thing, or that orangutans do if they're scared, or if they're angry, or something like that, or they don't want to see something.
That's when Cornelius is like saying how man is, ape evolved from man.
Yeah, and Zira is yelling. And that was actually meant to be a joke. Charlton Heston dared the director to do that.
Really?
Yeah. And for some reason it was kept in, because they shot it both ways.
What do you mean? Like
they shot it like it was just them like getting really angry, like the orangutans getting really angry, and then they shot that way. And it's called the hear and see no evil shot.
Okay. All right.
It was just a dare.
Cool. Well, I guess it adds more to it that they left that in, because again, they're not humans. I mean, they're apes, but they just have more human qualities.
And again, I don't think, like as you said in our Godzilla chat, you had a bullshit theory on how Godzilla's eyes looks down. I have a bullshit theory on this too.
On what?
On the hear and see no evil shot.
All right, we'll go for it. I love bullshit theories.
My bullshit theory is the reason why they're doing that is to comment on humans have their opinions. People have their own opinions. Everybody has their own opinions. And they are very ignorant to learn about other people's opinions.
Right.
And this is just like slamming it in your face, saying this is what we do.
And this is what's wrong with it.
And we shun other opinions.
Right. And I said earlier how I think that the ape society is kind of a mix between, like, you know, what was present day, 68, and Victorian era, kind of not only ideas but just kind of the look of the civilization, you know, with the very primitive guns and the very rigid social class structure, and the biggest thing, the fact that religion controls the government, which was what was going on in the Victorian era. If you weren't Christian, you were like you were not taking part in government.
Yeah, you were a nobody.
Exactly. And that's what it seems to be here. That's why the chimps are in such a low position of power, because they're scientists. And science and religion do not mix well.
Yeah, they really don't.
Which is wrong according to Dr. Zaius, but, you know, this is also the guy who blows up a cave just so the apes stay in power. Yeah. And that cave was all scientific evidence.
Yeah. Yeah. And I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, it's just the idea of what a government would do to stay in power.
Yeah, exactly. And they pretty much do anything.
Yeah, and just one of those things that makes the Planet of the Apes movies so memorable is just how full they are with all of these commentaries. And
yeah,
they're not even in your face most of the time.
No, and yeah, they're very subtle about it, but not only that, they put the entertainment factor first. They make their movies well-paced, well-written, well-acted, and if any of those things is bad, then usually they don't focus on it. I think that a lot of the things that's wrong with later ones like Battle is that, they almost put it in the background almost. Like this, with the pretty bad acting in that movie, and it's not as it's not as bad because a lot of the lead actors who have most of the screen time aren't that bad. Excuse me. And that's why Planet of the Apes, the original, is a perfect movie all around. I really cannot tell you a flaw with it because it doesn't have any.
Right. And, what was I going to say?
Also, I wanted to say this. This is one of the most entertaining movies ever made.
It truly is.
It's because it makes you think. It's not just a brainless action movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you can make a brainless Planet of the Apes movie. Well, they did, and that's why that movie was shit. Tim Burton's one. Because it was brainless, and it's Planet of the Apes. If you make a brainless Planet of the Apes movie, it's going to, by association, be shit.
Yeah.
And none of the original producers or writers ever made a brainless Planet of the Apes movie. Even Battle had its commentaries.
And I just want to say this. The scene where Taylor escapes... Oh, actually, no, before I get to that. The trial with Taylor and the orangutans. During this period of time, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there was something called the McCarthy trials going on, and it was...
I don't know much about them, but I have heard of them.
You will learn about it if you want to be a film director, and it's very sad. Like, I'm a Republican, and I think that this is... What they did was extremely wrong, and they were trying all of these people who were suspected of being a communist.
Right, and then they got blacklisted. Okay, I know what this is.
And then they got blacklisted.
And that's what happened to the writer of Planet of the Apes.
That's what happened to the writer of Planet of the Apes, and it happened to Kim Hunter.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Well, because I know that, because the cut that I have of the movie doesn't have this, but I know that in the original cut of the film, they replace his name with Pierre Boule's name. Yes,
and the Blu-ray edition replaces that, and it restores his original name.
Oh, I have the restored version, so does mine.
Yeah. But, that trial, it's nearly identical to how those trials, the McCarthy trials, were set up.
Ah, this is interesting. Go ahead.
Because what would happen was they would trick, in the McCarthy trials, they would trick the person and just keep yelling at them until they finally confess to being a communist, or say they are not a communist, and they are forced to tell them who is. And if you look at that scene, they keep tricking Taylor into looking mindless, which is what they did in the McCarthy trials, because there's that scene where he says, "Why are all apes created equal?" And he can't give an answer, because he doesn't know.
They're more equal than others.
Yeah, and he really doesn't know how the society... Well, he's getting the hints, but he doesn't know how the societies are being run in this ape world.
You know what would have been funny? And I again, I'm not trying to rewrite the movie here, but you know what would have been funny if Taylor had asked them, okay, why is the sky blue?
That would have been funny. That actually... Well, and if they were to remake Planet of the Apes and do it well, that would be something that should probably be added in there. But
well, I'm just saying it because it would have made Taylor a little bit more of a smartass and just kind of added to it. I don't know. I'm not trying to rewrite the movie. I'm just saying they could have done that and it would have been awesome.
Mm-hmm. But that orangutan judge goes, he's a human, therefore he cannot think, and therefore he cannot reason. And what's funny is that line was taken directly from a McCarthy trial scene. And he goes, he is a communist, therefore he cannot believe like he cannot think like Americans, and therefore he cannot believe in America. And that entire scene is just so parallel